And he has worked with Sri Lankan Airlines, Carlson, Wagonlit, Kingfisher Airlines in the past. And after the fall of Kingfisher Airlines in the year 2012, where he worked for 4 years of time, he started his own travel adventure company by name M Star Tours and More. One fascinating thing about him is that he looks for every little moment to celebrate. He plays guitar and he has been an MC at many wedding events. He is a fun loving, witty person who was born and brought up in the city of Bangalore. Put your hands up for the installation officer of today's meeting, Toastmaster Melvin Smith.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction, Karnakar. In fact, it's so nice to even see you at the meetings so regularly in the recent past. When this committee was planning this function, they first called one witty Toastmaster to be the induction officer, but he refused. Then they called another Toastmaster who has never done this in our club, but has held many posts. But he also said no. Finally, then Srijit called me and said, can you be the installation officer? So immediately I accepted, because how could I refuse him 3 times? Before I start this installation ceremony, I request the current officers to please turn on your videos and be spotlighted. All the 7 of you. I hope we can spotlight them. Good. Dear officers, Ayappa, Srijit, Hannah, Priyanka, Mahesh, Kamlesh, and Sabri. You're all there, highlighted? Good. You had a successful term and you should be extremely proud for serving this club diligently and to have a successful term and serving this club to the best of your ability in your respective offices. On behalf of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, District 92, and Toastmasters International, I would like to say a big thank you for all your hard work during this term. I hereby discharge you from all further responsibilities and duties of your respective office for the term just gone by. Please give these outgoing officers a big virtual round of applause for the wonderful service they have rendered. Members, I request you to kindly put in the chat box an adjective that describes this committee. Come on, let's see what you're saying. Okay, stunning, somebody says accommodating, majestic, oh, what is this tongue twisters over here, Karnakar? Okay, energetic, well, I'm sure there are plenty. Stupendous, somebody says, helpful, beautiful, indeed. I think all these adjectives very rightly go to these outgoing members. Thank you. Now going to our new committee, I'd like to give you a very brief introduction of each one of them. And I'm going to take the help of Priyanka to put the PPT on. Priyanka, are you ready?
Yes, Melvin, 1 minute.
So starting, we have the immediate past president. Don't forget, he is also part of the committee, outgoing committee. So the outgoing president, of course, Ayappa, you all have seen him here. Okay, there's a lot of work that has been taken to do this PPT, so please do enjoy it. Oh, I love the animation. 49th. Wow, wonderful. So immediate past president, Ayappa, have you just heard him? A guy who has taken us through, and I had the privilege of being with him in a committee many years ago, and that's him over there. he and his family and his wife are known as the bald and beautiful couple. Over here you can see him. He's not simply known as a theater artist. And his two lovely sons. Ayappa, tell us, what's your sons' names? Unmute and tell us.
Elder one is Nihal Changappa and younger one is Nishant Subaya.
Wonderful. Right. Then we go to our president. He works as a regional manager in Roach Diagnostic India Private Limited. He joined Bangalore Toastmasters in October 2015, and he wanted to be surrounded by people who speak good English. He was earlier a Sergeant at Arms and a VP Ed. His new hobby is reading. And I believe he's a man of action. You'll see it. Because he completed a full marathon last year. Toastmaster Srijit, unmute and tell me, would you prefer to be in marathon or working in the field, Srijit?
A tough question, but I love to work in the field.
Okay, but you did a full marathon. Congratulations. Yes. Okay, then we
Thank
go
you,
to our VP Education. She has been earlier VP PR and then she was VP Membership. I have seen this Toastmaster when she entered our club. She's a deputy manager at Bangalore International Exhibition Center and a mother of two brave girls, so she says. We haven't had a lady VP Ed in the last, how many years, Mr. Robinson? 5 years? Last one probably being Teresa Chinnappa, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. Unmute and tell me, what do you think? Why do you think your girls are brave or braver than you?
They're definitely braver than me. What I've taught them is ask whatever you want and have the courage for you to hear a no, because that's very important. Most of us, we don't ask because we are not sure whether we'll get it. So my thing to them is ask, fail, no problem, and move
Wonderful.
on.
You'll be having a lot of this from our members, and I presume the person next to you is your husband. We actually thank him for supporting you because you'll need a lot of time at the club. Then we go to our VP membership. Our VP membership was Sergeant Tams and our VP PR. She's an R&D engineer at Nokia. In the lockdown, she started, and her favorite is Indian cuisine. Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore. Why guitar? Where's that picture? Why guitar?
I don't know. I always love to learn some instrument. I started with Veena, but for some reasons couldn't continue. And when I got a chance to learn guitar because of my cousin, I never wanted to give away the chance. So now I've started learning guitar. Hopefully I am able to play, in the future.
Next installation, we'll hear Priyanka playing. Wonderful. Now VP Public Relations. He says he's a Bangalore boy, which means he's born and brought up in Bangalore. A corporate lawyer who finds time to meditate, cook, and of course, travel. Toastmaster Aaron Kamath, you said something about 30 countries under 30 challenge you missed. Tell us more about that, Aaron Kamath.
Toastmaster Melvin, for now, I'll keep that a mystery. But yes, I did fall well below that target also because of COVID. But I treasure memories and experiences more than materialistic items, and traveling, whether with family, on work, or a simple solo backpacking trip is what gets me going. And I look forward to more of that once we all get through this.
And you are above age and you're allowed to drink, I suppose. This is at the Oktoberfest in Munich.
Yes.
Wonderful.
For the record, yes.
Thank you, Aaron Kamath. Now we go to our secretary. She says, learning ends with life and life has just started. My God, this is difficult for me to take in. mother of 2 girls, 8 and 14, a HR professional who loves reading and gardening. Toastmaster Preeti Verghese, you say you're a good cook. Tell us more. What's in this picture? Is that being a chef or what?
Sir, cooking is a chemistry.
Okay. It's just a chemistry, that's it.
Yes.
You're more mysterious than I thought. Thank you, Preeti Verghese. And then we go to our treasurer. He's fairly new to our club. He's a commerce graduate working in a private hospital as an internal auditor, or exactly the kind of person we need as a treasurer. He says he likes reading books, traveling, and listening to Carnatic music. Toastmaster Rajana, kindly unmute and tell us, what's the love for Carnatic music?
My love for Carnatic music is because of it feels like the philosophy of India summarized. We do not read big books. It's in the synopsis that the Dasas of Karnataka gave.
Lovely, lovely, Rajana.
That's why I love Carnatic.
At our next installation ceremony, we'll have you play some.
No, I just love listening. I don't sing.
Okay, so we'll have Carnatic music at that function.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And lastly, we have our sergeant at arms, person who's just out of her teens. The line, "You are an adult now, be responsible," is hitting her, she says. Second year computer science engineer at BNMIT. She loves humor, claims to be an ambivert. That means not an extrovert or not an introvert, but combination of both. Started speaking at a very young age. You can see that picture there, Union Bank. Okay. Toastmaster Keerthana, you had gone to USA when you were very young. What took you there?
My aunt had just got married and she has shifted there. And she forced my grandmom or one of her family members to go there. But my mom couldn't. So she told me, you have to go, you have to take her. So she said, it'll be a new thing for you. You can do this. Just go, just explore. And I took myself. I had the best time ever. I never really thought I could do it. It was about 8 years or something at that time. I just
Wonderful.
went. I had the best time.
Keerthana, fantastic. I'm sure we'll hear a lot of you. And as you know, we don't give you 2 minutes to give you all this story. But thank you so much for giving us and sharing with us why you went to USA. Now the fun part of the installation is over, but now the serious part. Okay, so I'm here now to install the officers of Bangalore Toastmasters Club and prepare them for the challenges that lie ahead. Their collective challenge is to make this club strong and dedicated to helping people from all walks of life to speak in an effective manner, listen with sensitivity, and passionately lead them to help them as individuals. Every club officer, please listen very carefully, is obligated to 3 things. 1, attend club executive committee meetings, attend district-sponsored officers program, that is like TLI, prepare a successor to your role in your respective office. Moderator, please spotlight the people as I call them out, as I install them, and I request each officer to hold a scroll of paper as a sign of your gavel or responsibility while you take this oath. I'll be starting with the Sergeant at Arms and going up to the President. So Sergeant at Arms Keerthana K, Keerthana M. As Sergeant at Arms, your responsibilities include arrange the virtual meeting room, maintain club equipment in working order, ensure adequate club supplies are available, set up the room before the meeting, including breakout rooms like in Zoom, ensure the audio and video connectivity is good before meeting starts, at least yours. Make sure you attend to all equipment needs. Greet guests. Very important. Help the president to begin the meeting on time. This has been a tradition in our club. Toastmaster Keertana M, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Now we go to the treasurer, Toastmaster Rajana K. As treasurer, you are expected to keep financial records and prepare the club budget. Announce when it's time for members to pay dues. Explain the due structures to members, which means you also need to know what the due structure is. Collect dues, of course. Work with the secretary to ensure the club submits its dues into Toastmasters International World Headquarters. Toastmaster Rajana K, will you perform these duties to the best of your abilities?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Now the secretary. So Toastmaster Preeti Verghese as secretary. You need to maintain accurate membership roster. Just now we have 94 members. Work with the treasurer to ensure the new member applications and dues get to Toastmaster International and the headquarters as soon as possible. Submit the new officers list to Toastmasters International on time. Work with the treasurer to submit the club semi-annual report and dues to Toastmasters International. Provide the club with minutes of each meeting. Toastmaster Preeti Verghese, will you perform these duties to the best of your abilities?
Yes, I will.
Excellent, thank you. Now we go to public relations. Toastmaster Aaron Kamath, as public relations, you are expected to attract visitors to the club through free publicity. Use a variety of means to promote the club and its members in as many ways as possible, such as digital, print, TV, internet, or even newspapers. Enlist your fellow members in PR activities. Provide them with promotional materials and ideas for inviting guests. Toastmaster Aaron Kamath, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Now, VP membership. Toastmaster Priya Ranore. As VP membership, you are expected to lead the club members' building efforts. Help members with any requirements during their journey. Listen to their grievances and provide emotional support if needed. While the VP PR motivates people to visit your club, you motivate current members to invite guests. Promptly give new members applications due to the secretary. Personally greet and provide all members with membership application forms. Make such guests hear about the benefits of Toastmasters and get personal invitations to become Toastmasters. That's to the guests. Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Now we come to the VP Education, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. As Vice President Education, you are expected to gain commitments and set educational goals for themselves from members. Assure that the club is aware of the schedule of the meetings. Plan meetings that will assist members in meeting their individual goals. Work with club members to keep meetings fun and well run. Ensure all members adopt pathways. That's given now. Work with your members to ensure that they submit their applications for educational awards promptly. Provide educational topics at club meetings, such as those from Successful Club Series and Leadership Excellence Series. Represent your club at area, district council meetings. As a second ranking officer, preside over meetings when the club president is absent. Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. Will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And now we come to the president. Toastmaster Srijit Kilot, as president of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, you are the chief executive officer. Thus, you will preside over all meetings and all club meetings and executive club meetings. It will be your challenge to see that this club adds new members and members meet their current members and the current members meet their goals in communication and leadership. Establish a club that is supportive, stimulating, and rewarding. Realize that among the resources available to you, your commitment is towards fellow club members, officer team, area director, division director, district 92 officers, and officers of Toastmasters International at the headquarters. Toastmaster Srijit, you hold that scroll as a symbol of power and authority that your club has given you during this term of office. I am confident that you will use it wisely and with restraint. You are a member of your team as well as a leader. A team is more than just a collection of people, of members, with the common goal of achievement, sharing, and mutual support. Work with your team members to create a healthy, dynamic, supportive, and a club that every one of us will be proud. Toastmaster Srijit, as a member of Bangalore Toastmasters Club and as well as its leader, will you work with the executive team and the club members to make this a vibrant and rewarding club and help every individual with honesty, loyalty, and empathy? Toastmaster Srijit, will you do this to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Toastmaster Srijit. And now this is to all the members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. I request you to kindly put your hand on your heart because you should mean it now. Dear members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, your officer team has just pledged to serve this club to the best of its ability, to be the best Toastmaster club possible and meet the needs of all its members. Your club will need active participation from each member. Do you as members pledge to work together with your officer team and make Bangalore Toastmasters Club the finest club it can possibly be? Say, yes, I will.
Yes, I will.
I will.
I will.
Yes, I
I
will.
need to hear another 10 more people, or you can type it down there. Yes, I will.
Yes,
Yes,
I will.
definitely.
Yes, we will.
Well, thank you so much.
I will.
This concludes the installation. By the authority invested in me as your Division A Director, it is my sincere pleasure to declare these Toastmasters officers installed in this respective Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Join me in giving them a big round of applause. It's back to the MCs.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Melvin. To infuse such fun element in installation is remarkable. And yes, it's the time to have the incoming president. It fills my heart with immense pride when I introduce you to the incoming president. I have witnessed his journey from the non-striker's end, as he had sort of been into a speech club program, and I was the coordinator of that speech club program, which happened about 7 years ago. And he is a thorough gentleman who always strives hard to improve himself, somebody who has a great persistence. He has been the VP Education in the previous committee. Professionally, he works as a regional manager with a pharma company. And above all, he is a people's person. He always has a willingness to learn and improve himself. Please put your hands together for the incoming president of the term July to December 2021 Bangalore Toastmaster, and that is Toastmaster Srijit. Put your hands together for him, please.
My dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, a very good morning to each one of you. Hope you all are safe and stay healthy. First of all, I must thank Toastmaster Melvin for conducting this eventful installation in such an elegant manner. Toastmaster Melvin, I know it is your forte. Only you could do it in that style. Thank you so much. 6 years back, when I stepped into the Loyola Hall of Ashirwad building, I never imagined I would be the president of this club one day. It's a great feeling to be the president of such an esteemed club. Thank you, Toastmasters. Thank you, dear members, for giving me this opportunity to serve you. I know it is a great responsibility and I am excited to start this journey. I feel I am blessed, or rather lucky, to have a dedicated and committed team to support me to perform my responsibilities. We all have discussed and came up with a beautiful theme for this entire term. And the theme is respect in every aspect. Respect in every aspect. We all want to stay in the basics and follow the universal law. Give respect and earn respect. So we, the committee, will have that extra ear to hear the unheard and extra eye to see the unseen and the extra heart to feel what you feel most valued, so that we don't leave anyone behind from achieving their goals. So I need your support. I need a commitment from you to make all this happen. All I ask of you is show up for the meetings, and the return of investment you would receive. ROI, relationship, O, opportunity, and I, impact, impactful. Our relationship during this pandemic, one of the most challenging phase what we are facing is relationship among members. What I believe, for a community to grow or stronger, the relationship among members is the key aspect. I'm sure many of you would be missing that chit chat we used to have in our canteen during our break, or in the parking lot after the meeting. So to overcome this last 1 year, we are in more than a year, we are meeting virtually. And due to this virtual meeting, maybe we are missing that connect among the members. So to overcome this huge challenge, we committee coming up with a innovative idea. Maybe in Bangalore Toastmasters Club, the first time we are experimenting this, and this is called Toastmasters Premier League. I'm sure this is going to be more exciting than our regular IPL. This is to bring the competitive spirit among the members and enthusiastically participate in the meetings for all the members. So you will hear more about TPL in our first meeting, July 2nd, from our VP Education, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. But one thing I am sure, at the end of this term, we all will have more good friends from our club. Opportunity. We are committed to create more opportunity to our members to become better version of themselves. And impactful, we make sure that every meeting would be more interesting than the previous one, so that every Friday at 8:30 p.m. you feel that you have spent the best 2 hours of your life here. Frankly speaking, more than focusing on awards, achieving awards and accolades, we the committee will be genuinely interested in transforming members to become better speaker, better listener, and better thinker. At the end of this term, when we look back and you feel if you have moved on to become the better version of yourself, then we consider that as our achievement. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Karunakar. Karunakar.
Over to Simran.
Hi. Thank you for that, President Shijit. I think you warmed all our hearts by making us think about the time at Loyola. I think for me and for everyone who has been in those real meetings, it's not just about being a Toastmaster or that leadership role. Only at BTMC, when you walk into that room, do you feel like you belong. This is somewhere that I can be me, and it is okay if I make a mistake. And if you agree with me, please put that in the chat, because I think that is what Srijit and everyone is trying to do now. And it's so difficult to do it on a virtual platform. So thank you. I am definitely going to cash in on this ROI and be part of TPL, right? Toastmasters Premier League. And we're all going to do it because I think what has happened in the last 24 years is just not a club. The fact that we have founding members with us even today, this is a family. And for all the new members who have not been to Ashirwad and not walked into that hall, when you do, you'll understand. And I'm sure this committee will make sure that you feel that way even before. So thank you so much for that. I think we all feel so warm, right? You feel like you're part of something that matters, not just about giving a speech. Thank you for that. And I can't wait to look forward to all your humorous speeches as president, because I think that is the best thing about you, to listen to your jokes. We all look forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic term. We are sure of it. Thank you so much. And now let's move on to our keynote speaker. This gentleman is also extremely inspiring. How many of you have had times when someone has made you feel embarrassed, put you down for something, that the way you look or the way you've dressed? This gentleman, as a young adult, weighed more than 135 kgs. Due to that, he faced embarrassment, he faced rejections, he was highly misguided. But he decided to do something about it. He has lost over 52 kilos. He is certified by the Institute of Nutrition and Fitness Sciences. He specializes in fat loss, body recomposition, general well-being, and overall transformations now. He has coached more than 1,300 individuals who have been struggling with weight issues. He's not only transformed himself, but the lives of all these individuals. And today he's here to speak to us. In his words, he says, "Fitness to me is not a quick fix. This is the only therapy that made me reborn." Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Siddesh Pujala.
Everyone, it's a warm welcome. I'd like to share my screen if that is allowed.
Yes, yes. You can share your screen.
I'm getting an option called host disabled participant screen sharing.
Priyanka, I think you need to enable multiple enable, I guess.
Or else make him co-host.
Yeah.
I have done that.
Yes, I'm the co-host now. Can you see the screen, the thing that I'm sharing?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for such a warm welcome. So, today I'm going to, the next 30-35 minutes are going to be very much fun because I'm going to share everything that I have learned as an individual and also everything that I faced. So that, we all can learn, we can, understand, and we can incorporate in our journeys. So basically, my name is Siddesh Pujala, and this is exactly how I looked in 2016. I reached around 150 kilograms, and I didn't know what to do with my weight. So it all started, I stayed in Mumbai, and I had been to Vaishno Devi temple with a lot of my friends. So what happened was, there is exactly this incident got triggered there. So once I reached the foothills of the temple, so these guys, they come along with all the horses. Ghoda le lo, take the horse, you can hire a horse from us. Not a single horse guy came to me. So I felt that what is wrong? Like all my friends are getting the horses, their parents are getting the horses, but I'm not getting a horse. So I told them that I have to go 16 kilometers. So, I want a horse. So these guys said that, nahi, aap ghode pe baithoge to aap ghoda maar doge. If you sit on the horse, you'll kill the horse. That is the kind of weight that you have. And this is exactly the picture that I was being clicked on that day. So I felt very much embarrassed by listening to those words coming out from the gentleman's mouth. So I thought that this is not something, this is not something that I wanted to hear. So I thought, let me do something. Let me find another ways, different ways to, go towards the temple. So I told the guy that I want to go to the temple. So can you please help me out? Because I cannot walk because it's already like -3, -4 degrees temperature. So it's going to be
Siddesh, sorry to Siddesh, could you be a bit louder? I mean, it's like.
Yes. So basically, I told that guy that I want to go. Am I audible now?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you so much. So I told the guy that I want to anyhow go towards that temple and please help me out. So he told me that no horse can take you there. You have to hire a mule. And now a mule is an off-breed of a horse and a donkey that can carry around 130 to 150 kilograms. So I said, okay, not a problem. So I told the guy that, please take me. So he gave me a mule and I sat on that mule. That was the trigger point when I got to know that this is not exactly what I want. I reached the epitome of my weight and I reached around 150 kilograms because the scale that I had that could only go up to 130 kilos. So whenever I stepped on that scale, I thought, oh, I'm not gaining any kind of weight, so it's okay. So as things passed by, as time went by, while I was going on towards the temple, I started realizing that I have to do something with my life. And there was a checkpoint, on that same road where that guy had to introduce, they had to show their I-card. It comes under some Animal Husbandry Act that, you have to show that I-card that you are, you're responsible for this animal. So he told me, "Aap utar jaiye, you get down and, then you have to get it down again." So I said, okay. So while I was getting down from that mule, I tore my pants off. Now it was a very embarrassing situation for me. Like, I couldn't explain it to anyone. My friends have already crossed the line. They've already reached the temple and I'm lying there. I don't know what needs to be done. I told that guy, please help me. Please help me. Please at least give me a cloth so that, I can wrap it around. So that is exactly where it all started. I understood that this is not something right. If I don't take care of my life as of now, it is going to be a very difficult journey for me in the coming days. So anyhow, I reached the temple. I said that the next time I'm going to come, I'm going to be a changed man altogether. So yes. So I came back home. I came back home and I started, searching a lot of articles on internet. What exactly do I need to do in order to get into the best shape of my life? So I started Googling, I started using Google and I typed there, weight loss articles. How do I need to lose weight? So I got a lot of articles. I got a lot of answers for them. And then when I started going to a gym, now once I started going to a gym, what happened was it was very difficult for me. I couldn't follow it. And, it was very difficult. I couldn't follow a regime because my old habits took over me. I had a habit of eating whenever I want. I had a habit of, whenever I feel bored, I used to eat something. Whenever I'm, I don't, I was watching TV, I wanted to eat something. So food became my answer for each and every aspect of my life. If I'm bored, I want to eat something. If I'm not getting sleep, enough amount of sleep, I want to eat something. If I'm not doing anything, I want to eat something. So for a person like me, it was very difficult to get into, proper working out and everything. So what I did was I started slowly and steadily. I told myself that if I don't do it right now, nobody else is going to do it for me. This is my life. And exactly before a week that I started my workouts and my regime. I went to a store to buy clothes. I went with my father. So every other time that I went to the same store, I could only get my clothes, at a store called Pantaloons, and they had a brand called All, a little larger. So every time when I went there, the guy always showed me the same kind of check shirts and those extra large size jeans and everything. So I told my father that this is not what I want. I want a Levi's jeans. But Levi's, your waistline should be around 34, 36. My waistline reached around 46, 48 inches. My father told me, this is your life. If you don't take care of it, if you are not responsible for it, nobody's going to do it for you. That was the trigger point. He told me, you're an educated guy. You know what is the difference between right and wrong. You have to understand what you have to do and you have to work in that direction. And that is exactly how I started my journey. This is exactly how it got triggered. And once I started working out, I made it very simple that this is what I have to eat. This is this is how I have to train. This is my water intake and this is my sleep. That's all. That's all that I wanted. And 6 to 8 months down the line, I lost around 25 to 30 kilograms. Like I reached around in my 90s to hundreds. This was my first transformation. I was very happy with it. I could go out and those were my small dreams. I could go out, I can get a t-shirt for myself and the shopkeeper would, not even embarrass me. A lot of times they used to tell me, aap kapde sila lo. You go and stitch your jeans, you go and stitch your shirt because you don't have the size that you want. So I always used to feel embarrassed that this is not the thing that I want. But after losing a lot of weight, I got confident. I started understanding what is body positivity. I hated looking myself in the mirror. But once I started losing weight, I regained that confidence. But I did it by all the wrong means. I didn't know what is nutrition. I didn't know what exercise, what kind of exercises that I should be doing, how should be my sleeping pattern, how much water should I be drinking. So when I started at 130, 150 kilos, I ran a lot. I used to do a lot of cardio. I didn't lift. Weight training was exception for me. I thought that I don't want to build a lot of muscle, so let me not lift weights and let me do a lot of cardio. And I did that. I did a lot of cardio, due to which my upper body weight started falling on my knees and I tore my ACL. So once I tore my ACL, the picture on the left hand side that you can see was during my injury. I couldn't move my leg. I couldn't, my range of motion got affected. So I went to a doctor. I told him that I lost so much weight. Why is it that, I got this thing? I did everything right. I eat my foods on point. My training is on point. So what is the problem? He said that you ran a lot with a lot of weight. So this is one of the advices that I want to give you all. If you feel that you are obese, don't run. Start slowly and steadily with walking. This is the biggest mistake that I did. So the picture that you see on the left-hand side is when I got, I was injured. My friends came over, started designing, operating the crutches that I used to use. And the picture on the right-hand side top that you see, that was after my rehab. So basically because of running over a period of time, I damaged my knees and I couldn't move. So I got operated. I had to go through an MRI. The doctor told me that your right meniscus is completely torn. You have to fix it. I fixed it. It was a 6 months long rehabilitation period that I had to go through, during which I gained some weight again. And after that, during that period, I started reading a lot about nutrition and exercise science, that what are the correct ways to do it. Because anybody that came to me, he told me that, they told me that you lost a lot of weight. How did you do that? Now, I didn't have a concrete answer to tell them that how exactly did I do. I used to tell them, you have to drink green tea. You have to eat, lemon and honey water. You have to take it in the morning. Like, I used to give them random advices. So I thought that this is not the correct way to do it. Whatever I'm saying, I should be backing up with science. It should, it should sound at least a bit of logic so that the other person can absolutely incorporate that in his daily life. So after 6 months of studying the correct patterns of nutrition science, how do athletes do it? How do they have so many medals? How can Michael Phelps win 8 Olympic golds? There might be something that I am missing out in life. So I started studying more about nutrition science and exercise science. And after 6 months, the picture that you can see on the right hand bottom, this is exactly how I transformed. I just used to eat my ghar ka khana that we all call home cooked food. But I understood what is the importance of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Without giving up on my favorite foods, I transformed into the best shape of my life. This was the picture that, the right hand side picture that you can see. I participated in a transformation challenge. There were around 8,000 to 9,000 people and I came in top 100. So if you closely look at the picture, the left hand side picture, it was in 2016 and the right hand side picture was in 2018. So how did I do it? This was the bestest shape of my life. And I thought that I could never get abs. I can never get into an XL or an L shirt or a medium t-shirt, or I can never get into an Levi's jeans or anything that I want. These were my small dreams. So yes, the answer is yes, you can absolutely do it. You just need to understand what is right for you, and you just have to incorporate into your daily life. Whenever we hear the word diet, we all go berserk and we understand, we feel that, oh, I have to eat very less. I have to eat very less food. Basically, this word diet has been derived from a Greek word called dieta, which means way of life. And what we do is, let's suppose you are nearing somebody's marriage. We start dropping all our foods and we just be on salads and something like that to get into those dresses that we are going to wear in that wedding. And once that wedding is done, once we are done with clicking the pictures for Instagram and Facebook and everything, we are back to square one again and we again start gaining weight. This was exactly me years ago, because I used to do the same thing. I was told, avoid rice. I was told, just be on salads. I was told, avoid everything that is white in color. I said, okay. I did everything. I avoided dairy. I avoided carbohydrates, everything. I literally used to starve. My father and my family used to tell me, what are you doing? Are you going to die? You're not even eating anything just because you want to lose some numbers on the scale. Don't do this. My food relationship went bad. Over the period of time, I learned that this is not the correct way to do it. And if I want to make it sustainable, because I didn't have a goal of losing 4 or 5 kilos, I wanted to lose more than 70 kilos. The picture that you can see on the right hand side, I weighed around 73 kilos from 150. So I knew that if I want to do something, if I want to go far in life, I have to make it a habit. I have to make eating the right a habit. I have to make it right so that I can follow it every day of my life. And it should not feel like a task or a burden for me. I never gave up on rice. I never gave up on dal, and I'm a vegetarian. I never gave up on my paneer. I eat cheese every single day because I understood the importance of macronutrients and micronutrients. So this photo of mine went viral on internet, and Times of India contacted me. They told me that we want to do a story on you. So would you be able, would you be interested in that? I said, of course. Who doesn't want to be on, one of the pages of Times of India? So I said, okay. So they asked me what was your diet. I told them that in the morning I ate my bread and cheese. In the afternoon I ate my rice and dal. In the evening I had my nuts and fruits, and in the night I used to have a lot of paneer and rice. Now they said that how can you lose weight just by eating cheese? I said it's absolutely possible. Cheese is not bad, paneer is not bad. You only have to understand some basic things, and that is calories. So this is exactly what I'm going to also tell you guys, that how did I do it, so that we all can learn, we can share, and we can incorporate that into our daily lives. Now, number one reason is I had an intent. I had an intent to change. So wherever you all are standing in your lives, if you feel that no, your goal might be to lose weight, your goal might be to gain a lot of muscle mass or to gain weight, your goal might be to just maintain where you are, your goal might be that you want to improve your marathon. The next time, if you want to, whenever you're going for a full marathon, you want to finish it before, by 10 minutes, before 10 minutes. So you can improve on your timings. If you want to be a sprinter, if you want to improve your timings, you can do anything. Your goals are always going to be specific according to your body weight and height. So first reason is I had a strong intent that whatever it is, I want to change. I want to change. My only goal that was that, when I reached that epitome, once I came from Mumbai, once I came from Vaishno Devi temple, I lost a very dear friend of mine. He was also obese, and he reached around 150, 160 kilos. He was a diabetic, and doctors told him that if you don't take care of your health right now, it is going to be very difficult, because he went on insulin. So he was very close to me, and I thought that no, this might be an alarm thing for me as well. So let me start at least slowly and steadily. And over the period of time, I knew that whatever I am doing for that, I can better my life in the later days. This is my investment for now, so that once I get married, once I have kids, I don't have to run behind, I don't have to think twice before running behind them. I don't have to think twice before catching a bus. I don't have to hold my breath when I'm playing badminton with my friends. I don't have to just get tired when I'm cycling with my friends on weekends. So I had a strong mindset that, boss, I have to change. I don't know anything else, I just have to change. So intent, you should have that intent to change. Nobody else. You can have the best diet plans in the world, you can have the best training coaches in the world, but if you don't have that intent to change, nothing is going to work for you. So first thing, what I believe that works is intent. You should have a goal that I have to reach there. I cannot go to my airport and tell him that kahin ka bhi ticket de do. I just give me a ticket of any place that you feel like. No, I should, specifically, I should be able to tell him or them that, I want to go to Bangalore, I want to go to Chennai, I want to go to Madras, I want to go to Madurai, I want to go to Tamil Nadu. You should know where you want to go. That is the first step, and that requires intent, and intent to change. Second is exercise. Weight training plus cardio. Lifting weights has shown tremendous amount of, positive responses and changes among individuals of all age groups, because your body has a rule. Your body has two rules. First, feed me proteins, because your body cannot create proteins on its own. You have to take it from an external source. Second thing, train my muscles. Your body tells you that to train your muscles. If you don't train your muscles, your body doesn't have any good reason to preserve your muscle mass. So what happens is, let's suppose you are a 100 kg individual. 70% of your bodies are made up of water. The remaining 30% is your muscle mass, your bone mass, and your fat mass. The idea is to maintain your muscle mass and to get the fat percentage down. That's the only correct way to lose your weight. And what did I do? I just ran behind the numbers on the scale. Oh, I'm 130. I want to get to 129. Oh, I'm 130. I want to get to 125. I ran behind the numbers on the scale. I just ran like anything. Oh, why did I didn't lose weight this week? Let me drop some food. Why did I didn't lose some weight? Let me drop some calories. This is exactly what I did for the first 15-20 kilos. And I did it so I horribly damaged my entire metabolic system. I literally started starving because I couldn't see the numbers going down. And what happened was, once I removed my t-shirt, I could all that I could see was loose skin hanging around my body. So I consulted a doctor. I told him that I'm working out, I'm eating right, I'm not eating any kind of junk, my water intake is on point, my food is on point. Where am I lacking? What is the thing that I feel you feel that I'm lacking? Because my skin started sagging, my upper body, my lower body, and it was very embarrassing. I couldn't discuss it with my friends, I couldn't discuss it with anybody else. He told me that you are not weight training, you are not preserving your muscle mass. All that you're doing is just trying to lose your weight. So when you say weight loss, it means you're losing your water, you're losing your muscle mass, and you're losing your fat mass as well. So the idea was to not to lose my muscle mass at all. So he told me, maintain your muscle mass, and the only thing that you have to do is to get your fat percentage down. That is when I started lifting weights. That is when I got to know that if I want to preserve my muscle mass, I have to lift weights. And cardio can be in any form. I used to just walk. And over the period of time, when I got an access to the treadmill in the gym, I started running. I started running slowly and steadily, which again was a mistake. So, but if you feel that, you have to incorporate any kind of exercise in your regime, walking is the best therapy. You just go out, and even if you want to go on a client call, you just take that call, and you can just keep on walking. Walk while you talk. That is the bestest form of cardio. You can also go for swimming. You can also go for cycling. You can also go for running, right? So you have to divide these two into, your training should be divided into two phases. First is going to be your cardiovascular respiratory system. That is exactly what you have to train. And second is your musculoskeletal system. You have to train your muscles. So in short, train your muscles, and second, do your cardio. These are the two things that I followed. Third thing is nutrition. This is the game changer. Nutrition. Now, diet doesn't mean that we all have to starve. We can absolutely eat our dal, rice, chapatis, pasta, bread, oats, poha, upma, suji, tea, coffee, eggs, chicken, everything that you can incorporate in your diet, you can absolutely eat that, and you can still lose fats, because that is what sustainability is all about. I was being told to do a low carbohydrate diet. I was being told to do a keto diet. I was being told not to eat after 6 o'clock. I was being told avoid rice in your dinner. I was being told skip your breakfast, start intermittent fasting. I did all of them, but I couldn't stick to any one of them because none of them were sustainable. Because I had a lifestyle since last 25, 27 years. How can I incorporate something new and people want to make it a lifestyle just like this? I had to eat something that I like to eat, which is good food, which is clean food, so that I can stick to it very easily. That is when nutrition comes into picture. So 5 things make up your diet: your carbohydrates, your proteins, your fats, your water, and your fiber. Now, water is water. Water is something that you have to drink throughout your life, So water also helps in transporting all your nutrients across the system. So water is the first main important thing. Second thing is your fiber intake. Fiber includes your vegetables and fruits. Once these two are set, the other 3 important things that we need to incorporate are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. No matter whichever food you eat, even if you're eating chicken biryani, the chicken in that biryani is your protein. The rice in that biryani is your carbohydrates. The oil or the butter or the ghee that is used to make that biryani is your good fats. So it is always going to be a combination of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Even if you're eating paneer pulao, the paneer in that pulao is going to be your proteins. The rice in that pulao is going to be your carbohydrates. And the fats in that pulao, which is going to be your oil or ghee, are also going to be an important thing. So any kind of food, even if you're having idli or dosa, even if you're having oats or upma, even if you're having, every food is divided into these 3 categories: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, out of which proteins are the most important element, because your body cannot make proteins on its own. India leads world in diabetes. World leader in diabetes. We are second in the world in child diabetes as well, child obesity as well. So because we are a high carbohydrate eating nation, we eat carbohydrates abundantly because we are also a less protein eating nation. So the idea is to divide your macronutrients completely so that you have a balanced meals, so that you can incorporate that into your daily lives. And third thing about this on this point is sleep and hydration. Sleep and hydration play a very huge role. Once you fix your routine, okay, this is what I have to work out. Okay, this is what I have to eat. Then come these 2 things: your water intake and your sleep. If your water intake and if your sleep are not on point, it is going to create a havoc because my sleep cycle was very bad. I used to sleep at 3 in the morning and I used to get up 8 in the night, 10 or 11 in the morning. So I used to feel that, oh, anyhow, I'm trying to complete my 8 hours of sleep, but that doesn't work. There is something called a sleep-wake cycle. That's called circadian rhythm. Your body has to, once the moon, once it is dark, the idea is that your body starts releasing a lot of melatonin. So your body signals you to sleep, but we are not sleeping. We don't sleep at all because we want to watch Netflix, we want to watch Prime Video, we want to use that laptop to see some YouTube videos or something like that, which is okay, but it has to have its own limits. I didn't have any limits. I used to sleep at 3 in the morning. So it completely ruined my sleep cycle. And if I'm not able to sleep for 8 hours, the next day I'm not able to perform, at my optimal strength. So sleep is very important, and your water intake is very important, because if your water intake is not on point, you are going, the color of the urination will start going yellow. You will, your cognitive skills are going to get affected. Your decision making capacity is going to get affected. So I thought that, oh, this is something which is very real and I don't want to miss out on any of these things. So I started fixing my water intake. I started drinking 4 liters of water throughout the day, and I started sleeping early. I started, switching off my phone, my laptop and my screen time as much as I can before on my sleeping time, so that I can properly focus on my sleep as well. Now, these were the 4 reasons. First was my intent that I had to change. Second, that my exercise routine that I had to set up. Third was my nutrition, and fourth was my hydration and sleep. Once I got better at it, I started, feeling like, okay, I'm back to life now. Of your time, and let's move on to the next slide. This is very much important. I want to make you understand what are calories and how do we need to incorporate into our daily lives. So basically, let's suppose this is your body. Okay, like how a car understands petrol or diesel as a fuel, same way our bodies also understand calories. Your body can only understand calories because that is the unit of energy for your body. Let's suppose this is my body. Okay, and in order to maintain my weight of 80 kilos, let's suppose I require 1000 calories. Okay. If I fill this bottle up, okay, let's suppose I require 1000 calories to maintain my weight of 80 kilos. 1000 calories, I'm going to maintain my weight. Okay. If I'm going to eat 1000 calories, I'm going to maintain my weight because 1000 is my maintenance calories. The calories at which my body maintains my weight. Like how we have a nano car. Nano car's fuel tank capacity is 25 liters. Like how we have a BMW. BMW's fuel tank capacity is 80 liters. Okay. The same way, my fuel tank capacity is 1000 calories. In order to maintain my weight of 80 kilos, I have to eat 1000 calories. If I go beyond this caloric limit, let's suppose I start eating 1200 calories or 1300 calories. I'm just giving an example by taking this 1000 as a number. So my body will tell me, Siddesh, why are you giving 300 extra calories, man? Give it as fats if you don't use this as energy. So I said, okay, no, I don't want to do this. If you go beyond your caloric limit, you start gaining weight. 1000, 1200, 1500, 1600, your caloric requirement is only 1000 to run the system. If you start eating 1200, 1300, 1400, you will start gaining weight because your body doesn't know what to do with that extra fuel. To lose weight, what we need to do is we need to eat a fewer calories lesser than your requirement. So if your requirement is 1000 calories, and if I start eating 900 or 800, that is when my body will start burning my fat. My body will start using my fats as a source of fuel. And this is exactly how I am going to lose weight. So basically on the screen, when you see what is TDE, that is your maintenance calories. So if 1000 is your maintenance calories, okay, somewhere around 700 or 750 is going to be your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. Okay, that is exactly like how we have the reserve in our cars or our bikes. Okay, so BMR is the first point. Your minimum amount of calories that your body needs to function this system is called BMR. Okay, and you just go, if you go a bit high, then you get your maintenance calories. So in order to lose weight, what we have to do is we have to start eating a few calories lesser than your maintenance calories. This is exactly how anybody on this planet loses weight. You have to be in a state of calorie deficit. This is your maintenance calories. And if you go above this, 1200, 1300, 1400, you are creating a calorie surplus. Surplus is for the people who want to gain weight. And calorie deficit is for the people who wants to lose weight. I wanted to be in a deficit because I wanted to lose weight. So let's suppose if my calories are 1000, my maintenance calories are 1000, I should be eating somewhere around 800 or 900. I have to create a small deficit so that I can sustain. And in this 800 calories, I can include everything. First comes my proteins, then comes my carbohydrates, and then comes my fats. So this is exactly what it is. In order to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. You have to start eating a few calories lesser than your maintenance calories. In order to gain weight, you have to start eating some calories more than your maintenance calories, slowly and steadily. But in order to maintain your weight, you have to be at your maintenance, lift weights, and do your cardio. Slide. Okay. Now, first thing is portion control. Okay, that is the easiest way to start any diet. Any diet. Let's suppose you want to get on a diet. Don't give up on your favorite foods. If you are somebody who likes eating their rice and dal, if you're somebody who likes eating their chicken and eggs, if you are somebody who likes to eat their rotis or chapatis or fruits and breads or eggs, whatever it is, do not just skip out completely on your diet and start a new diet altogether. You won't be able to stick to it not more than a week or two, because your old habits will start haunting you back and you'll start getting back to your old diet again. So the point is, if you are somebody who is eating this much rice, just cut down on your portion control and just reduce it to a smaller portion of it, something that you are sustainable, and add a lot of veggies. If you are somebody who eats a lot of chicken, cut down on that and start eating some less chicken. Let's suppose if you're eating 500 grams of chicken, come down to 250. If you're somebody who is eating 300 grams of rice, come down to 100. If you're somebody who is eating 4 bread slices, come down to 2. If you're somebody who is eating 4 eggs, come down to 2. If you're somebody who is using a lot of oils or butters or ghee while making your food, come down, just reduce it to 10 or 15 grams. This is the first thing that I did. I started understanding the importance of portion control. Second thing, make sure that all your meals should have one portion of proteins. Let's suppose in the morning, if you're starting with eggs and bread, that's okay. Proteins are eggs are your proteins. In the afternoon, if you're having your dal, rice and paneer, or dal, rice or chicken, that's okay, because dal is a carbohydrate source, but we still have some kind of proteins in them as well. So you can start with your paneer, you can start with your chicken, or and a small portion of carbohydrates. Third meal can be something like a fruit or nuts with whey protein or something like that, or egg whites. And in the evening, you can have your chicken biryani every single day, because rice and chicken makes a very good combination, your carbohydrates and fats. Right? Chicken biryani is not bad. Any food item will not make you fat. It is always the total calories that are going to make you fat. So let's suppose your caloric requirement are 1000. Okay, 1000 is a caloric requirement to maintain your weight. And if you are just having a Magnum ice cream of 200 calories, that is not bad at all. Then what happens is, then we start blaming that ice cream that it is responsible for me to gain weight. No, Magnum ice cream is only going to take 200 calories from your diet. Chicken biryani is only going to take 200 calories from your diet. Rice is only going to take 200 calories for your diet. The problem with weight gain is overconsumption. It has always been overconsumption and less activity. So first thing to start a diet that we have to incorporate is portion control, and then comes quantified nutrition. Quantified nutrition is all about how many calories that you need. For example, let's suppose quantified nutrition was basically only been used by elite level athletes and gymnasts. That is why they got a lot of goals and everything over the period of time when everybody got to know that the importance of quantified nutrition, so that every other country started hitting gold. So quantified nutrition is nothing but understanding what you need and how much calories you need, and you're exactly eating that. So we use a kitchen weighing scale to measure your food. You have to measure your food raw before you cook it. For example, let's suppose I want to start with 2000 calories. I know whenever a person wants to lose weight, the first question is what to eat, how much to eat, what to train, and how much to train, when to train. Shall I train in the morning? Shall I train in the evening? First, it starts with food. If you know that this is the portion control is the easiest thing to do, but with portion control, you will get minimal results. But when you quantify your food, you exactly know, okay, my maintenance is 1000. If I stick to 800 calories, I'm absolutely going to lose weight. That is it. One is minimal and one is optimal. With portion control, you will get minimal results. But with quantified nutrition, you will get optimal results. So basically, you have to use a kitchen weighing scale to measure your food. Let's suppose I am having 2 eggs in the morning and 2 bread slices. My one meal is done. In the afternoon, now I cannot say to a client that, okay, you do one thing, you eat some rice. Now, what is some rice? He'll tell me, sir, you told me to eat this much rice. For me, this is some rice. So no, I have to be specific with the quantities as well. No, you have to eat 50 grams of rice because 50 grams of rice has 175 calories. Okay. So that is when things start getting much more specific. So that is what quantified nutrition is all about. You measure your food before you cook it, and then you cook it, and then you eat it. Okay. So you don't have to miss out on any favorite foods. You can include all your foods in your diet and you can still lose weight because it is all about energy balance. What you can do is walk. These are all the techniques that help you to burn calories. Walking, running, 10K steps. Now, a lot of people have started using the watches. Like we have apps like Get Set Go. We have apps like Google Fit. We have watches like Apple Watch, Fitbit, etc. MI watches. We have apps in Apple phones like Health, which allows you to track your step count as well, your activity levels as well. So when you are eating something, that is like you are putting a lot of fuel into your car. And what is happening these days with all of us after the pandemic is, we got ourselves very good, BMW X series, X3, X4, X5. We are filling in the petrol, but we are not riding the car at all. This is exactly what has been happening. We have been eating a lot of food. Because everybody is working from home, but there is no activity levels. The activity levels have gone down. So if your maintenance calories is 2000, you are eating 2500, but you're not burning a single calorie at all. That is the problem. So we have to start inculcating calorie expenditure as well. Calorie intake is the fuel that you're putting into your system. Calorie expenditure is something that you do to burn calories. Okay. So you can do walking, you can do running, you can do 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps is a lot of steps. You can start off with 5,000 steps and slowly and steadily you can take it to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. That's exactly, you have to increase your steps as you go ahead. If you're somebody who likes to run, you can just start running slowly and steadily, because unknowingly or knowingly, a lot of pressure should not be coming on your knees, because it may damage your knees if you are obese. So walking is also going to burn some calories. Running is also going to burn some calories. If you are new, I would just advise you to just start sticking to walking first. Okay. Third thing is cycling. Cycling is a very good sport. You can go for weekend cycling. You can go for, every week you can keep 3 cycling sessions. Just keep it short and simple. Initial days when you start cycling, what will happen is, because of that seat and the body pressure, your pelvic region will start paining. And that is soreness. But that is only going to last for around 3 or 4 sessions. But once after you are done with those, you are absolutely going to get back on track and there won't be any kind of soreness. So walking burns calories. Now I'm talking to you since last 30 minutes, I'm burning calories. So basically I'm using my body's energy systems to do something productive or any kind of activity. Even if I'm fidgeting something, even if I'm doing this thing, I'm burning calories. Whatever activities that I'm doing, I'm burning calories, right? So walking, running, cycling, swimming pools are not allowed as of now. So I cannot give an option to swim as of now. So cycling is one of the good options. Then your body weight exercises, you can do push-ups, you can do pull-ups, you can do squats, you can do body weight exercises. Why? Because body weight exercises works on your musculature. And as I said, your body has 2 rules. Give me good amount of proteins and train my muscles so that I can protect your muscles. Once you cross the age of 50, what happens is your body starts using your muscles as a source of energy. And a lot of people, including my father, they lost a lot of muscle over the period of time, because this phenomena is called sarcopenia, wherein your body starts utilizing your muscles as a source of energy. Why? Because you're not training your muscles. You're not eating good amount of proteins. That is why training your muscles is very important as you age as well. The only goal that we should be having is to get strong, to build muscle and to drop body fat. That should be the ideal goal. Okay. You need to eat. Now, non-vegetarian people, you can eat everything, including the veg options as well. Meat, eggs, insan chhod ke hum sab kuch kha sakte hain. Now, when it comes to vegetarian options, I'm a vegetarian. There are a lot of people who are also vegetarians. So you have to make sure that you're including as I said, every meal of yours should have 1 portion of proteins. It may be anything. Like I have clients who just rely on eggs and chicken as their protein sources, and they eat rice and tofu and pasta every single day. So that's absolutely fine. So for vegetarian options, we have paneer, we have tofu. Tofu is again a byproduct of soya. So you can absolutely have tofu as well. You can, in your carbohydrates options, you can have breads, you can have rice, you can have chapatis, you can have pasta. Yes, because as I said, your body only understands calories. Okay, 100 grams of rice, uncooked rice, is 350 calories. 100 grams of wheat flour is 350 calories. 100 grams of ragi flour or corn flour is also around 350, 370 calories. 100 grams of pasta, wheat pasta, also has around 350 calories. So yes, you can absolutely eat pasta every single day and still lose weight. We have been demonizing foods for no reason. Sugar is bad, sugar is bad, sugar is not bad at all. Anything when you consume, when overconsumption happens, that is when it is bad. Just because you have a packet of paracetamol at your place, you are not going to empty the entire packet if you are feeling feverish, right? The same way, just because you have 1 kilogram of salt and sugar at your place, you're not going to put that entire tub of that into your tea. You're going to use some of it. 1 gram of sugar is 4 calories. 10 grams of sugar is 40 calories. If your caloric limit is 1000, how can 40 calories make you bad? The problem is overconsumption. Now I'll give an example. Now I'll tell you how sugar has been demonized for no reason. This is your calorie intake, okay? 1000 calories. Let's suppose we fill 300 ml by alcohol, okay? Let's suppose we fill the remaining 300 ml by water, okay? So it's 200 ml here. Now let's fill the remaining 500 ml or 400 ml with milk. If I do that, what will happen is this bottle will overflow. And the onlookers and the people who will see this, they'll tell me that, Siddesh, this is only because of milk that the water came out and it got overspilled. This is exactly what is happening. We have been blaming sugar for no reason. Sugar is not bad. Sugar is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates go into your body and they convert it into glucose. Then your glucose gets converted to glycogen. That's it. So basically what I want to say is sugar is not bad. Sugar has demonized for no reason. The understanding that we have to understand that overconsumption here is bad. So we should not be over consuming it. Okay. Then comes all types of dals. Now dal doesn't have a lot of proteins in them. They have also a lot of carbohydrates in them as well. So you can just keep 1 portion of dal as well. Now for cooking, you can use ghee, you can use butter, you can use coconut oil, and you can use olive oil. Okay. Now these are the best. Okay. Now whenever you want to buy a phone, obviously you'll buy an iPhone. If you have 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, you want to give the best to you want to give yourself the best gift. You can buy an iPhone. So ghee, butter, coconut oil, olive oil, they are like your iPhone, the best. Then comes your Android. Okay, when you go for Android, then you get the oils like sunflower oil, rice bran oil. So if you want to go for the best, go for ghee, butter, coconut oil, olive oil, because they have a lot of saturated, unsaturated fats ratio. Then you can have all your vegetables. Vegetables have literally don't have a lot of calories. You can use them as a fiber source. You can have all the vegetables. There is no single vegetable that is bad for you. You can have all the vegetables. Soya chunks and soya flour. You can absolutely, vegetarians in the house, everybody, who are not able to complete your protein requirements, go for soya chunks or soya flour. You can make anything out of them. Like I grind them and I make rotis out of it so that I can complete my protein requirements. You can have all dairy products. You can have Greek yogurt. You can have milk. You can have your curds. You can have paneer. You can absolutely have all dairy products. They are a very good source of proteins and fats. Then comes all types of dry fruits and nuts. Now, whenever you feel hungry, okay, people have been told that eat fruits, eat nuts. They are very much healthy. All foods are healthy. Okay. Now, there is nothing called as healthy or unhealthy. First of all foods have calories. 100 grams of rice is 350 calories. Okay. You can divide that into 2 meals. 100 grams of nuts has 700 calories. So whenever you get bored, next time you go to your fridge to get some nuts from the fridge, and when you take a handful of nuts, always remember 100 grams of nuts has 700 calories. That is a food for somebody who wants to gain a lot of weight. But yes, even if you want to have them in moderation, you can absolutely have that. Have 10 grams of it, but just don't take a handful of nuts and keep on eating it while you're watching a Netflix. So make sure that fruits also have calories. Nuts also have calories, but they have a lot of calories. The fiber options that has lesser calories are your vegetables. Okay. So I'm not saying fruits are bad, don't have fruits, have it, but just have 1 portion of it. Just have 1 fruit and just don't have a lot of nuts. Just have some nuts. That is more important. Balance is everything. So we need a balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Proteins are the most important thing. Okay. These are some of the commandments that I stand by, and I want every one of us to at least incorporate that into our daily lives. Okay. First thing is lifting weights. Now, I was a big cardio person. It was very difficult for me to convince that no, you have to do weights. You have to do weights. But I always propagated cardio. Over the period of time, when I made a lot of mistakes, I changed my stance to weight training because I read a lot of research papers and all of them mentioned that it improves your lean body mass. The more muscle that you have in your body, the better you can perform your daily activities. That's the first thing. So my goal till the age that I am going to turn 50 is that I am going to pack as much muscles as I can. So first thing, lift weights. Okay, now this lifting weights you can do by lifting bottles, or either you can lift dumbbells. And I don't, lifting weight doesn't mean that you have to lift 50 kilos, something to your ability or to your capacity. Even if you're comfortable lifting 2.5, 3 kilos, start doing your weight training exercises. At least train 4 to 6 times a week. Even if you're training with lighter weights, that is still okay than not training at all. So options to lift weights, you can use bottles, you can use dumbbells, you can use resistance bands, or you can use body weight exercises. Basically, you have to train your muscles. Second, eat at least 1.2 to 1.6 grams of proteins per kg of your body weight. Now, let's suppose you are an 80 kilo person, 80 kilograms, okay? Your daily recommended allowance for protein is 1 gram of protein per kg of your body weight. If you're 80 kilos, at least eat 80 grams of proteins. At least. That is the bare minimum kind of protein that your body should get, because proteins are necessary. Your body cannot make proteins on its own. Your body, if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, your body very well knows how to convert it into glucose. If you eat a lot of food, if you go beyond your maintenance calories, your body will be very happy to convert the excess energy into fats, but your body cannot make proteins on its own. That is why we have to give proteins from external sources, right? So how do I reach 80 grams of protein mark? 2 eggs in the morning will give you around 12 grams of proteins. Some soya chunks or chicken or paneer in the afternoon with your rice or dal or with your chapatis will again give you 25 to 30 grams of proteins. You can have cheese slices. Cheese slices are nothing but a replacement of paneer. They're a byproduct of milk itself. So you can have a cheese slice in the evening, or a whey protein scoop, and in the evening again you can have chicken or eggs or paneer or soya or cheese or tofu. This is exactly how you have to select different food sources to complete your protein requirements for the day. So first rule, lift weights, training your muscles. Second, at least eat 1 to 1.5 grams of 1 to 1.6 grams of proteins per kg of your body weight. Third, engage in physical activity or sports. Even if you feel like, no, I don't want to lift weights. Okay, no problem. Do some or the other kind of physical activity. Either walk, either you can play badminton in your area with your friends, either cycle, either play tennis, do any kind of sport that you like, something that you can stick to, which is not a task for you, which is something which is a part of your intent to make you reach a goal. So indulge in any kind of sports or activities. Fourth thing is hydration, as I said. So every 20 kilos that you weigh, let's suppose I'm 80 kilos, I need around 4 liters of water. This is a basic math. This is a generalized, body hydration requirement. So let's suppose if you're 60 kilos, you need around 3 liters of water. If you're somebody who is around 100 kilos, you need around 4 to 5 liters of water, because the role of your water is to transport all the nutrients that you are eating across the system. So make sure that your water intake should not go less. And if also I talk about a lot of women who go through periods. Okay, now this is a very important topic for me to touch upon. Before your periods, when you hit your first day of your periods, what happens is your body knows that a lot of blood flow is going to happen. So what your body does is it starts saving to a lot of water. That is called water retention, because your body has to use that water reservoir, because 75 to 80% of your blood is also made up of water. So if you are not hydrated before your cycle, you are going to have a very tough cycle. So make sure that you are at least drinking 3 to 3.5 to 4 liters of water before you start your menstrual cycle. That is the most important thing. Or else you will feel fatigued, you will feel stressed out, you will start having a lot of spasms around your stomach area. So it's going to be gut discomfort as well, right? So we have to make sure that you are having good amount of water before your menstrual cycle. Then comes sleep. If you don't sleep well, you won't be able to perform the next day. Now, sleep has become a luxury for all of us, because what I see as a coach's perspective, okay, is I see a lot of people working for 16 to 17 to 18 hours, giving out their everything to work, to earn money. Then at the end of the day, very poor sleep cycle. And because of that, you start getting cortisol. Cortisol again is a stress hormone. When you don't sleep well, your body starts releasing a lot of cortisol. Now, because of that stress, you are not able to perform the next day. You are lethargic. The next day, you are not energetic at all. On the other hand, you again have to log in for 12-15 hours for your office work. On the other hand, you don't have time for your workouts. On the other hand, you don't have time to eat proteins. what happens is your performance goes down. You're not able to perform, you'll start losing your muscle mass. So what I see is we earn a lot of money. Okay, then again, next day when you go to a doctor, he tells you to get a lipid profile done. You are not going to sit and argue with him that why am I going to do this? Why are my numbers bad? You just have to do what he has to tell you. Then again, all the money that we earn, again, that goes to medical bills and expenses. This is exactly what I see as a coach, right? So I was also one of them. So I know, I know how to be on the other side of the spectrum as well. So understanding that your sleep is very important and you have to incorporate good sleeping habits as well. Because if you don't sleep well, you are not able to perform at all, right? So sleep is very important. Minimal and optimal, there are two things. So even if you are going for minimal, at least try to sleep 7 hours a day, at least your body, because what happens is, let's suppose you work out, you work from home, you work out, you eat food, you're doing all the activities. When you are deep asleep, your body starts recovering in that time. Oh, you got hurt here. Let's repair that. This is exactly what goes into your system. Let's suppose before sleeping you got hurt. There was some kind of a bruise or something. The next morning when you wake up, you see that it has been covered by a black layer because your body starts repairing the cells and tissues as well at the microscopic levels. So sleep is very important because during sleep we get recovered. Then you avoid using phones and laptops an hour before you go to bed, because all the laptops and electronic devices that we use, what happens is they release a blue light. Okay, because of that blue light, your sleep hormone, which is called melatonin, okay, your melatonin is a sleep hormone that gets activated once the sun is gone. It gets activated when it is dark and when it is cold. So your body is asking you, sleep, please sleep, keep that laptop down, keep that phone down, sleep, you can make that presentation later, please sleep. But no, you are very adamant, no, I want to complete that. Once your laptop is done, you want some other screen, you will take your phone. Once your phone is done, you will go to your TV to watch some Netflix. So what is happening is, laptop is throwing some blue light, your computers are throwing some blue light, your phone is throwing some blue light, your television screens are throwing some blue light, because of which your melatonin levels are going down. So that is why the average sleeping hours, when we used to sleep there was a time when we all used to sleep at 10, 11 o'clock, 9:30. During my school days, my mom used to make me sleep at 9:30, 11 because I had to catch a bus at 5:30 in the morning. Now that has gone to 11, 12, 1, 2. Now we only sleep when we feel like sleeping. Now what is happening here is, it is exactly, you are creating a lot of metabolic stress. Let's suppose I feel like urinating, okay, just an example. And I know that, okay, I am attending this Toastmasters meeting. I cannot, I have to hold it. Oh God, I cannot. You are creating metabolic stress on your body. You want to drink water, you are feeling thirsty. You can't talk, but you are a part of something. Then you're part of some work or something, some arrangement, something. You're not able to do that. No, I cannot. I have to take a lot of time. What is happening here is, you are creating a lot of metabolic stress on your system. You are not allowing the body, you're not listening to your body. You are doing what you want to do because of some commitments or something, which is not bad either. Like, let's suppose if a person is having kidney stones and if he is not able to treat it, if he is not able to diagnose it, it will grow. Wo badhega. That is not good. So when you don't sleep and when you push your sleeping cycle to 2 hours or 3 hours more, then your wake up cycle also goes ahead. If you are somebody who used to sleep at 7 in the 7, if you are somebody who used to get up at 7 in the morning, now if you are getting up at 9 or 10, that is only because of the last night's activity that you did. So an hour before you go to bed, please keep your mobile phones on silent. Probably keep it in the other room. Once you're done with your work, once you're done with your laptop presentations and everything, once you're done with your Zoom call, everything, just make sure that you're not taking your laptops and your mobile phones to your bed. That is the first most important thing, because we all need a better quality of life. Why are we all doing this? Why are we grinding so much? Why are we hustling so much? Why do we have big dreams? Because we want a better quality of life. We want to be happy at the end of the day. That, okay, whatever it is, I'm happy. Happiness comes from doing the small things. So if your basics are not clear, we have to make sure that we have to set up them first. That is the most important thing. We all deserve 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Let's make sleeping normal again. Okay, hustling is a different thing and sleeping is a different thing. I don't want you guys to, I want you guys to hustle harder. But at the same time, I also want you to take care of your health. When you don't sleep well, your cortisol levels go high. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone. When that goes high, it creates havoc in your body. You start losing your hair. Your testosterone goes down. Your performance goes down. Your game goes down. your libido goes down. That is exactly responsible for each and every metabolic syndrome problems. So we have to make sure that your sleep cycle should be on point. And in order to track your food, in order to track your training volume, in order to track your water intake, in order to track your sleep, we have this app called Fitter. So you can absolutely use this Fitter app to track your food, to quantify your food, to understand, to give you reminders for when do you have to drink your water next, and everything. So with this, I would like to conclude my keynote. Four takeaway things that we have to all focus on is your food. This is my food. This is what I have to eat. Every meal should be having good amount of proteins, and I should be at least, having good amount of proteins in my diet, my carbohydrates and my fats, so that I can have a balanced meal. You can have fruits, you can have vegetables, you can have pulses, you can have dals, everything, but everything in moderation. Second is my training and cardio. I have to lift weights at least 4 times a week, or I have to at least do some kind of cardio, so that if I'm putting some fuel in my car, I have to make sure that I'm riding my car as well. This is the second thing. Third is your water intake, your hydration, that I at least have to drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water every single day, so that my color of the urination should not go yellow. I should have a, proper hydration levels maintained throughout the day. And fourth thing is sleep. I have to sleep well. I have to plan my sleep very well. I can listen to some good Carnatic music before I go to bed, some soft, soothing music, which will allow me to have my good 7 to 8 hours of sleep. With this, I would like to conclude my keynote, and thank you so much for everyone for listening to me so patiently.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Siddesh. Excellent one.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siddesh.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
We are greatly benefited.
It's actually an eye opener to all. Thank you so much. Very grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. If you all have any kind of questions, I am here. I guess, Ayappa sir, I can have more 15 minutes to answer all your questions, I guess.
We have one question in the chat box. Would you like me to read it out for you?
Yes, please.
The question is, you spoke about walking 10K steps a day. Could you also mention the calories that we burn by doing this? And is 10K steps common for every kind of person?
Question now, see, whenever you walk, okay, what happens is, let's suppose there are two people who are walking. One is a 50 kilo guy and one is 100 kilo guy. Okay, it depends upon your body mass. That is the first important thing. 100 kilo guy will burn more calories than a 50 kilo guy, because he has to carry a lot of mass while he is walking or while he's doing the activities. And the calorie burn is going to be very individualistic. So for a 100 kilo guy, when he walks for around 10,000 steps, he burns around 700 calories. This is about a study that was done in 2017 by Brad Schoenfeld. He mentioned in this paper that when you do 10,000 steps by being at 100 kilos, just a brisk walk, normal kind of a walk throughout the day, just by being active, you burn around 700 to 800 calories. Person is going to be a bit lesser.
Thank you for that. Maybe we can take one more question because we're a little bit short on time. Is that okay? You can pick. We have two people have the common question. How do you lose fat around the waist?
Basically, let's suppose I reached 130 kilos. So let's suppose, but there was a time in my life where I weighed 80 kilos, right? So while I am going from 80 kilos to 130 kilos, what is happening is I am storing a lot of body fat. Now, I am not just, now I don't have any control of where I'm going to segregate or where I'm going to store a lot of fat. Now my body decides that. Some people develop a tummy. Some people, they start developing their upper body. Some people start, growing from the lower body. So this is called body fat distribution. So when you are getting obese, as you don't have, any power to understand where your body is going to save a lot of fats, the same way, while you are losing weight, your body decides where you want to lose fats first from. But ideally, the fats around the abdominal area, you lose them at the last. So by doing a lot of crunches or by doing a lot of abdominal exercises, you are not going to lose a lot of belly fat. The idea is to create a calorie deficit and work out so that you create an energy balance. So in order to lose your belly fat, you have to drop your overall body fat percentage down. That is exactly like let's suppose if I want to, there is a swimming pool, okay, and I want to just drop some water from one part of the pool. I won't be able to do it. To do that, I have to drop the entire water of the pool. I have to take the volume down. So the same way, once you start eating right, once you start exercising, once you start doing your 10,000 steps, once you start doing your workouts, what happens is your body starts getting into managing your energy balance. That is how you lose your body fat. And when you lose your body fat, your body will decide, oh, she's doing nice. So let me lose some fats from the stomach area as well.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing your inspiring story with us. I'm sure we are all motivated, and thank you for taking the time out to share so much of your knowledge in such great detail. May I please request you to also put your email in the chat so people who want to can reach out to you. But again, thank you so much for that. We are all truly inspired. We hope that you enjoyed your time with us.
Absolutely. It was
Thank
a delight
you so
speaking to
much.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
this
you so
opportunity.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, Toastmasters, we are moving on to our award section, and I'm going to hand over to my co-host, Toastmaster ever bubbly, Karunakar Dev.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simran. And now this is the time. This is the result time of all your hard work and dedication, which we have put in last 6 months of time. Mind you, CBSE and ICSE have cancelled the examination, but we have conducted exams week after week, and it is the time to roll out the awards for the month of Jan to June 2021. Simran to announce the first award of today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, the first one for today is the best speaker of the term. Now at BTMC, this means a lot. This time, we don't have one, we have two. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together for the top two and our best speakers of the term, DTM Rajdeep Manwani and Toastmaster Varsha.
Okay, as the second award, it is for the best evaluator of the term. And this is something which is, I mean, if in layman's term, it does weigh at least about worthy of at least 10 recommendations on LinkedIn. And this award goes to Toastmaster, DTM Toastmaster Rajdeep Manwani. Put your hands up for him, please.
Next up, we have the best table topic speaker. Now, these are the people who think on their feet and think very well and quickly on their feet. So ladies and gentlemen, again, not one, but two speakers. Okay, are you ready? We have best table topic speakers, DTM Sumitra Manmohan and Toastmaster Vaidyanathan.
Great. And next up, we have the role which is for best tag team player. And mind you, this is a very important role. It shows that the person has great amount of involvement toward the success of meeting, to be listening every speaker very carefully and pointing out the areas of improvement. And the best tag team player of this term goes to Varsha BM.
Next up, we have a series of awards for people who have added value to this club way beyond just being on stage. They are integral to the complete foundation of this club and its success and what it stands for. So the first one, our critical Toastmaster of the term, Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh.
Whoa. Now, this Toastmaster, I haven't met him personally, but he has a great testimony around his name. The star performer of the term. The star performer of the term goes to Toastmaster Abhirama KS. Put your hands up.
Next up, we have the most coveted Toastmaster of the term. This is someone we all look up to and look forward to hearing from every time they speak. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our Toastmaster of the term, DTM Rajdeep Manwani.
Okay, we have this award that is Most Enthusiastic Toastmaster of the Term. Most Enthusiastic Toastmaster of the Term, we have a tie between Vishal Vasanta and Akhilesh.
Next up, our most promising Toastmaster of the term, Toastmaster Keetana. Oh.
Okay, next up, I feel this award should be renamed after this person because this has been the case for about 20 years of time. The most enthusiastic mentor of the term, Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza.
I agree, Karunakar. We need to talk to the committee about changing the name of that award, right? Maybe just make it Award Toastmaster Robinson. Next up, the best role taker of the term, Toastmaster Alan Arhana.
Okay, it is the most enthusiastic tag team player. I'm imagining how it actually sounds, to be the most enthusiastic tag team player. And it goes to Toastmaster Rajanna and George Suraj. Put your hands up for them, please.
Now moving on to our next section. These are what we call path breakers. Toastmasters who've completed an entire path in this term. Ladies and gentlemen, first up, Nazneem Begum for completing Pathways Presentation Mastery. Trust me, finishing a path is a Herculean task. So let's give them very large rounds of applause. The next one, Toastmaster Teresa Sokia Mata for Leadership Development. We have one more, and we've heard this name many times today because it is so well deserved. DTM Rajdeep Manwani for Presentation.
Okay, so when I look back at my Toastmaster history, I win an average of 1 award in 3 years of time. And the next set of people have won 3 awards in 1 year of Toastmasters term. So the Triple Crown is awarded to a Toastmaster who achieves 3 or more awards within a Toastmasters year, which is July to June cycle. And the first awardee, or rather we have 4 people who've been winning it. The first one is Nazneen Begum. And then Rajesh Nukul. Put your hands up for them, please. Teresa Sofia. And then the lady who has won the most number of awards today, that is Toastmaster Varsha BM. And Toastmasters and guests, this concludes our award ceremony, handing it over to Simran Chopra.
Thank you, Karunakar. As you can imagine, all this needs a lot of people working in the background, needs a lot of effort. So next up, we have our vote of thanks. But the person doing the vote of thanks, let me introduce you to her. She is our president, BP Education. She works with Bangalore International Exhibition Center as a deputy director. She has worked in the trade exhibition industry for close to 20 years. what is very interesting is that being a Toastmaster, according to her, is one of the best decisions she has ever made. What fascinates her about Toastmasters is that though we belong to different professional backgrounds, different ages, different cultures, there is a common thread that connects us. Our fold is of people who have the urge to step out of their comfort zone and the determination to develop a new skill. Toastmasters, please welcome our VP Education, Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Simran, for that lovely introduction. The best and beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They are felt as an emotion. Thank you is one such emotion. A very good afternoon, dear Toastmasters and distinguished guests. As we come to the end of the 49th installation ceremony of the new committee members for the forthcoming term of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, on behalf of the current and the incoming committee, it gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to this wonderful gathering we have here. A very special thanks to the keynote speaker, Mr. Siddesh Vajala, who spoke to us about general well-being and overall transformation. The five important factors he spoke to us about is intent, workout, nutrition, sleep, and hydration. I read this caption on his website. It says, "Destroy your habits, be unstoppable." Thank you so much, Mr. Siddesh, for your time and your most valued keynote address. A sincere thanks to the installation officer, Toastmaster Melvin Smith, who has been diligently working to ensure that the installation went on seamlessly. A big hug to the MCs of the ceremony, Toastmaster Simran Chopra, Toastmaster Karunakar, and Toastmaster Chetan, who have added great color to the ceremony. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to each one of you who have been a part of this installation ceremony. And now, a big hooray to the 7 outgoing committee members. First is our president, Toastmaster Ayappa, who has worked with a lot of sincerity and discipline, added great value in bringing in Toastmasters from across the world to BTMC. We are grateful for his insight, ideas, dedication, and advocacy in the past year. His repeated word to the committee was, "Be unreasonable." This was already mentioned earlier as well, but this is his favorite word, "be unreasonable." Thank you, Ayappa. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And the next is VP Education, Toastmaster Srijit. He was a gentleman who has been in regular touch with each and every member of our club, following up with us to give speeches, participate in contests. He was the ultimate VP Education. Thank you, Srijit. VP PR, Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore. I must say, the public relations is one of the most challenging roles, and Priyanka sailed through beautifully and has brought out 2 unique newsletters in this term, Orenda, meaning the invisible magic power, and Eunoia, beautiful thinking. Thank you, Priyanka. The secretary, Toastmaster Kamlesh Kumar. Week after week, he put together the minutes of the meeting in a simple way and sent it to us. He also at every meeting for 2 minutes. It takes a lot of preparation to condense what happened in 180 minutes to just 2 minutes. Thank you, Kamlesh. And the treasurer, Toastmaster Mahesh Shankar. Some of the things he did was to understand the financial accounting of a non-profit organization, present the budget for approval, and answer clarifications from the members about the budget. His role is definitely an unsung hero. Thank you, Mahesh. Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Shabri Shankar. Though not in Bangalore, you ensured you played your role at every online meeting with your soul-soothing speeches. Thank you, Shabri. We are truly grateful for these outgoing members who have volunteered their time to guide the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, dedicating significant time and energy to help chart our past, present, and future, and grow Bangalore Toastmasters Club as one of the best and thriving clubs. once again, we thank each of you for being here, for making the time to attend. It is a rest day and a family time for all of us, but you have marked time for your second family, the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Today, it would have not been as fun and exciting without you to celebrate with us. Thank you so much for coming. And I wish you all a very good afternoon and have a lovely weekend. Thank you so much.